Hey, South Baltimore. Are you looking for a great place to relax? You should really check out The Last Penny in Locust Point. Whether you're in the mood for a handcrafted cocktail, some great food, or you just want to soak in the cozy neighborhood vibe, The Last Penny is a great spot for you down in Locust Point. And hey, don't forget about Chicks on McHenry Row. They've got the best chicken tenders in town. Man, I've been ordering these things like once every couple of weeks, and they're just absolutely delicious. They got a couple of different sauces you can choose from. You can grab a craft beer while you're in there. You can bring a whole party too, because they got a lot of space in there. Stop by for pickup, carry out, or sit down, have a meal, have a beer. It's great. Swing by The Last Penny and Chicks today. Might just become your new favorite hangouts in South Baltimore. If you're looking for more information on local businesses, be sure to visit us at southbmore.com and check out our business directory at directory.southbmore.com. You're going to find lots of coupons, happy hours, and local events of some of your favorite local spots out there. Enjoy and cheers. Welcome back to South Baltimore Now. I'm Nate Carper, and today we are on location at St. Mary's, Star of the Sea, a Catholic church on Riverside Avenue. We're delving into the rich history and vibrant community impact of this beloved institution. Dedicated in 1871, St. Mary's has been a cornerstone of the community, creating countless memories and significant milestones for its parishioners. Sadly, this church will be closing its doors at the end of November, leaving a void in the hearts of many. However, the legacy of St. Mary's will live on through the remaining Catholic churches on the peninsula, Our Lady of Good Counsel in Locust Point, and Holy Cross in Federal Hill. I'm thrilled today to be joined by Father Kevin and Steve Sarnecki, the deacon here at the church, and we're going to be discussing recent developments and initiatives within the Catholic community of South Baltimore and much more. Stephen, Kevin, welcome. How are you?
Thanks very much. Yeah, great to be joining you.
Thank you for letting me come into this beautiful church and have a discussion today and talk to our community and our listeners and our readers here at southbmore.com about what you guys have going on with St. Mary's. Again, I mentioned that it's closing. Kevin Lynch wrote a nice story back in the spring and talking about the Seek the City initiative.
Well, again, thank you, Nate, for joining us here today. And my name is Father Kevin Ewing. I am the pastor here at the Catholic Community of South Baltimore. Been here for about 14 months, so a little over a year. And this is actually just a parish community that I've been familiar with all through my time preparing for the priesthood and then as a minister of the church. It's great to be able to celebrate with this parish community. It's great to be able to know that God is calling us to a very hope-filled witness. He's calling us to celebrate some incredible moments in the lives of individuals, of families, of our wider community. You know, in this particular moment, I'm just reminded that we're also called to try and navigate some tough times together, to support one another and to reassure each other that our hope in Jesus Christ, even when the going is difficult for us, that our faith is undimmed and that the Lord calls us to the promise of new things to come, of good things to come. So I'm happy to be able to join with you here today. And take it away, Deacon Steve.
Yeah, so Deacon Steve Sarnecki, lifelong Baltimorean. I actually live out in Ilchester, Maryland, Ellicott City area. And I was lucky enough to get reassigned to South Baltimore in February of this year. I'm super excited. I love so much about Baltimore, the people of Baltimore. Good, bad, and otherwise, you know where you stand with the city of Baltimore. And so far, I've really fell in love with South Baltimore, just in terms of the mix of families, long-established residents, so much going on around here. And so much to look forward to in the future.
Awesome. Well, welcome to the community. Welcome to South Baltimore. Will you ever move down here or stay out there?
I've got 7 kids, so I don't know if the Locust Point townhouse is big enough.
Nope. That's a triple wide house in Locust Point.
Maybe if like a whole city block comes in.
Yeah, exactly. So I live very close to St. Mary's. Both my children were baptized there and received First Communion there. My history goes back only about 10 years with St. Mary's, but with it closing, I'd love to just kind of discuss what's been going on with that, how you're transitioning to the other 2 churches, and maybe just some future plans around that.
As you mentioned earlier, the parish community of St. Mary's has been around since the mid-1800s. We think about just all of the lives that have been a part of that parish community, of that church community. And of course, over the past many decades, these communities have done a beautiful job of being able to come together, to support one another, to celebrate what makes us Catholic and what our Catholic mission, our identity is in our wider community. The work of these 3 distinct parishes coming together has really blossomed in a beautiful way. We have a lot of folks, as Deacon Steve mentioned, who have lived in this neighborhood all their lives, who have called these houses of worship their spiritual home for generations. And we want to honor that as best we can. We also have a lot of new people moving into the area, a lot of youth and vitality and energy and new ideas and new opportunities. And we want to see the church joining them and accompanying them in their walk of life, in their journey of faith, in whatever way that comes to be made manifest here in South Baltimore. Part of the realization of the Seek the City process is just that in a lot of ways, our mission took on the space of serving the facilities, just trying to keep up with a lot of the very difficult care, a lot of old buildings and things like that. And of course, the mission of the church, it remains the same since Jesus Christ. Go and make disciples. The Lord gave us that commission. And so, as painful as this process is, we're really trying to see an opportunity of putting that hope into action, being able to really carry out that mission that we are called to, being able to evangelize in the neighborhoods, to be able to make Christ present to our local community, and to be able to support one another. And so the difficult reality of losing a church building or no longer having the celebration of sacred liturgies, even of the sacraments of the church, the baptisms, like you mentioned. If that's not possible at St. Mary's, how do we not only give thanks for all the ways in which St. Mary's has been present and has offered those opportunities, those sacramental moments for the past 50 years, but how do we also try and regalvanize and redouble our efforts to make sure that people know that they are loved by God, that they are welcome into our community, that even if a church building is closed, that the church is very much present, alive, and active here, and that we want to be able to continue to celebrate all that the church offers us, all that our Lord offers us through the gifts of the church. And so that's kind of our invitation going forward.
You can reach anybody anywhere, right? That's not about the physical constraints of one particular building, like you say. But speaking of that building, you mentioned a couple of the initiatives and a couple of things that you might be trying to do to try to help those who may be grieving the loss of the church, but just to memorialize the building of St. Mary's and the memories and the stories that have happened there. Curious what you guys have going on for that.
We are trying to take on a couple different initiatives in these months before what will be kind of our last regularly scheduled Mass at St. Mary's, our last kind of regular weekend liturgy. We've had a lot of people ask, what can we do in these intervening months? How can we support the St. Mary's community? How can we honor that legacy? Under the leadership of Deacon Steve, he's been our coordinator and our point person for the St. Mary's Legacy Preservation Team, which is a committee of parishioners from actually across all three of our campuses that have come together just to say, what are some ways that we can tangibly chronicle and preserve the memory and the legacy of St. Mary's? Two ways in which we're inviting anyone in the community, whether they've been a long-standing parishioner, whether they're new to the area, just to be able to share their thoughts, their reflections, any photos, any images, is to post those on our memorial wall. We set up a memorial wall through the assistance of Charles Stevens Funeral Home. You can find the link on our website, and certainly we'll be able to provide public access to that website through our social media and things like that. And it's just a place to store those memories for all in our community. They have the funeral home, the Stevens Funeral Home, been great supporters of our church community. And as we were discerning how best to catalog all these memories, they have a beautiful kind of platform, a beautiful database for being able to say that this is how we want to honor something that is so special, so dear, so sacred to us, just as we would honor a treasured family member. So we invite folks just to visit that website, share their memories and their reflections and their photos.
That site will live in infamy, basically? There'll be somewhere where folks could place their memories there and they're going to live on in perpetuity.
Yeah, just to be a permanent record for our shared honoring of St. Mary's. So another way is we're looking to host kind of one-on-one interviews, just a 10-minute casual conversation, really an informal process of sitting down with, whether it's our parishioners, whether it's community members, to be able to just hear their stories, that captures those memories. And we want that to be part of a Stella Maris Memories, that's Stella Maris Star of the Sea audio podcast. And so we invite folks to share thoughts, warm memories, funny stories from your time at St. Mary's or your family's memories. There are 3 dates that we're going to open up St. Mary's just for folks to come in and schedule a time to sit down for one of these 10-minute interviews. Those are on Sunday, September 8th, Wednesday, September 18th, and Saturday, September 21st. And the times will be posted on our website as well. And so those are great ways, I think, just to be able to further cement and capture those testimonies and those memories. And then the other things that we're encouraging folks to do is, come by St. Mary's. Join us for one of our Saturday evening liturgies, Saturday at 4 p.m. The church is open. The community is there. It's a beautiful opportunity just to be able to celebrate. Even if folks are not Catholic or not familiar with the Catholic liturgy, that's okay. We want to invite all in to see what our celebrations look like and to join us in that celebration. We're going to be offering a Mass of Thanksgiving on Saturday, November 16th. That'll be our 4 p.m. Mass. And that's going to be followed by a legacy reception that'll take place in St. Ignatius Academy, just across the street from St. Mary's. And the legacy reception will be open to all members of our community, have an open house, and again, a sharing of some of these testimonials, and our memorial wall. We'll just share some reflections. And then our closing Mass for St. Mary's will be offered on Saturday, November 23rd at 4 p.m. And again, all are welcome to join us in these celebrations.
We're talking a lot about the memories of St. Mary's, and you've been in the community how long now?
For about 14 months.
14 months, so both of you relatively new. I'd love to hear a memory, something that's happened with you in the church. It doesn't have to be St. Mary's, but I'm curious if you have anything that really stands out.
I'll make my confession first.
You okay?
I am a lifelong soccer fan and soccer player. For me, I have lots of really bad memories of Latrobe Park.
Okay.
Because when we played, Our Lady of Good Counsel had a particularly good team. We also got to play at Swan Park, and Swan Park, as nice as it is now, did not look like anything it was.
I have heard stories.
40 years ago. You had to usually clean up the field before you could play, and then avoid a lot of the trains and litters on the way out. But to me, that's part of what I liked about coming here, because South Baltimore is real. And the people are real. And even the real bad memories are still good memories. And I found that already just in 6 short months here. Just getting to know the people. It's still Baltimore, hun.
I would say 2 things. One, my general experience of being down here in South Baltimore, being able to walk through the community, be able to just know the people as you pass by, and to know that there's a friendship there, there's a connection. And it's not just me as the priest in this area or things like that, but that people want to stop and say hello. They want to sit out on the front stoop and just engage with the world. Our invitation, even as a church community, is to be people who are engaging with others, forging those connections. So I think that's done in a really unique way, in a really impactful way here. Probably my favorite memory of being part of the community of CCSB, and specifically even at St. Mary's. Believe it or not, I've been a priest for 7 years, but just because of the different ministries that I've had over my time as a priest, this past year was the first year that I have celebrated an Easter Triduum from start to finish. That's Holy Thursday, Good Friday, and then the Easter Vigil on Holy Saturday. Kind of everything in the lead up to the Easter Sunday celebrations. Those Holy Week liturgies, they are intense. They require a lot of work, a lot of preparation. And of course, here there's an added wrinkle that we will celebrate each service at one of the different locations. But our Easter Vigil this past year was at St. Mary's. We brought one adult into the church as a newly baptized Catholic Christian, and we also received 5 others into the church as well. And just being able to see the course of those liturgies, but even more so, seeing the awakening of faith and the deepening of faith throughout the course of their journey in preparation for the sacraments, and then being able to see them receive the sacraments at the Easter Vigil. It was just a really powerful moment, really just awesome expression of why we are here, to see that hope dawning in lives, in people.
So there's another liturgy coming up, can't help but share, in August, where we actually have Mass in Latrobe Park. And I call it the blessing of the backpacks. It's a back-to-school Mass. It's open to everyone, and at least for the hour or so of Mass, the kids seem relatively happy with the prospect of going back to school. But I was lucky enough to join last year before I was assigned and assist Father Kevin. And I have a good memory of walking door to door with the Eucharist to share Holy Communion with some of the older residents who were participating but couldn't necessarily come out across the field. And to me, that's South Baltimore, where the kids are out in the field and the parents are there with them, and the older generation are out looking, and they're not separate. They may be separated physically, but there's still togetherness. That's coming up on the 25th of August out at Latrobe Park at 11 a.m.
All right. Better make sure I get this episode up before then.
Time sensitive. Oh, we can give you a rundown of all celebrations coming up.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. That's great. I love the architecture of all the churches. I think it's beautiful. When it comes to St. Mary's, I hope that light stays on forever because I've now become accustomed to it for 14 years.
Yeah.
Tell you what, whenever the timer kicks off, if we have a power outage or something like that, people let me know that star is not lit. And I try as quick as I can to get over there and make sure it gets lit back up.
I bet. So anyway, to wrap things up here, what are some things the community can do, whether you're part of the Catholic community or not? One of my favorite events of the year the Catholic Church does is Oktoberfest.
Sure.
Of course, love it. And I know it's at Holy Cross. In fact, the first time, I believe it was at St. Mary's several years ago. My son was 1 and he was sleeping and I had no idea what was going on. And I just got him to sleep. It was a beautiful late September afternoon. I had the window up and I'm like, finally he fell asleep. And then I hear polka music playing. I'm like, is this real life? What's happening? And I'm like, it's an Oktoberfest. What an amazing thing. So I haven't missed a year since.
Did you stay asleep?
Actually, thanks.
Wow.
It's amazing he did. The kid
Polka
loves
music is the perfect lullaby.
You hear that kid's polka music to go to sleep at night.
Only in Baltimore.
All in Baltimore. Yeah. I mentioned Oktoberfest, but are there other events coming up that people can help with?
Sure, absolutely. As we're gearing up for the start of the school year, the religious ed is gearing up. And we have religious education classes for children from kindergarten through 5th grade every Monday evening starting in October. We have Monday night Bible studies for our older crowd, for anyone young adult and above. And that takes place in the retreat house. And then in terms of just our celebrations as we're making our way towards Advent and Christmas, those are great places just to wait with the Lord, watch and to pray, and to joyfully celebrate Jesus' birth and how Jesus becomes present to us day in and day out, week in and week out. So with the celebration of Oktoberfest coming up on September the 28th at Holy Cross, that weekend actually is also, this is very providential, it's the weekend that we'll be celebrating the feast of St. Mary's Star of the Sea. That feast is celebrated every year on September 27th. And
Not just in Baltimore, in the whole church, universal.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. And so we'll be celebrating it at all of our weekend masses that weekend. And in conjunction with that, starting on that date and then throughout the weeks up until our last Mass in November, we'll be praying a Stella Maris prayer at all of our Masses, just to, again, surround this effort, this challenge, but also see our community forward by centering on our relationship to God and in supporting one another with prayer.
My experience with this parish is there is something going on every night of the week. There is some group, some small group, whether it's for sports or young adults or grief support ministry or making food for the homeless. So if you're ever bored in South Baltimore, just take a look at our website.
Thank you both very much for sitting down with me today and really appreciate what you do for the community.
Thanks, Nate.
Pleasure.
Good to be with you. God bless.